Welcome to Icon Park.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It felt like it happened pretty quickly. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it definitely happened. Yeah, relatively quickly. Anyway, I think over maybe a 48-hour period where it all sort of went down to business, and couldn't be happier to be here at the Blues.
What was it about Carlton, mate, that made you decide that's where you want to play for?
I just think the talent that's still here at the footy club and the direction that Vossi sees the club going is something that I sort of found myself appreciating and leaning towards. So, I can't wait to get stuck in first day of pre-season next year.
Feels like trade period. There's more cameras now than ever. Did you have a conversation with Vossi by stealth that no one seemed to know about, or how does it all work?
Yeah, occasional little stealthy chat. It was mostly over the phone, and then met up with him maybe last week, just before it all went down, and sort of just pitched the idea of how he wants me to play and how he wants me to fit into the footy club, and it was really appealing, and here I am. So couldn't be more happier.
This is your first time at Icon Park since becoming a Carlton player, mate.
Yeah.
What memories do you have here? Did you play any junior footy here?
I did play some junior footy here actually with Gippsland Power, and maybe mates always talk about. My mate talks about how good he was playing here, so I'll have to bring him down and show him how good I am here. So yeah.
In terms of how you play footy, mate, what do you think makes you play your best footy?
As I've said, I think I'm a high half forward that gets up the ground and works hard and uses my speed and my ability, and he helps set up goals as well as kick them. So I think playing to my strengths and playing on instinct is something that I pride myself on.
Martin Olive mentioned before that you weren't a Carlton supporter, but she's from a family of Carlton supporters, and her dad. What did her dad say about your move here?
I think it was the best day of his life. I think. Yeah, so he's a die-hard Carlton fan, has been for a long period of time now. So when we called him on the phone, I reckon it was maybe a couple of hours before the trade news went through, and I think he was crying tears of joy. So he was rapt, but happy to be here, of course.
That's one Carlton supporter that you do know, but you will get the chance to meet many more at Icon Park, at Marvel Stadium in the MCG.
You
touched on this on radio last week, but how excited are you to play in front of those big Carlton crowds?
It's going to be phenomenal. I think playing up there on the Gold Coast, it's no tongue in cheek, but it's probably you get your 25,000 occasionally, but to play in front of 70,000, 80,000 each week. On the MCG or down at Marvel is going to be fantastic. So I can't wait.
Feels like you play your footy with a bit of energy as well, so that must be really exciting for you.
Yeah, for sure. Don't mind revving the crowd up every now and then.
Who are the Carlton supporters that you've loved watching over the years, mate? The Carlton players, sorry.
Carlton players. Obviously the obvious ones of Cripper and Walshy, Weeders, Harry Mackay, and then I even noticed Frank the Tank last year. Just the way he went about his footy was fantastic. I think he actually dominated the game he played against us at the Sun. So keen to play alongside those guys.
You got a message for Carlton supporters before we finish off?
I'm just stoked to be here. I think it's a fantastic new chapter in my career, and one I'm very much looking forward to. And I can't wait to get out here and train and be with the boys, and then more importantly, get after it in 2026. So.
Hello, everybody. That was Ben Ainsworth just now with Carlton Media, a little walk and talk action. Hello and welcome. It is day 9 of Trade TV. We are covering every movement of the 2025 AFL Trade Period. And wow, I was a bit surprised to hear Ben Ainsworth use the phrase Frank the Tank. Do you think he was briefed on that? Or do you think that that's just something that's caught on? That was really interesting there. Similar to yesterday, there's a little bit of news, but not really that much. We will touch on the reported offer from Sydney for Charlie Curnow, which really we all were guessing it yesterday anyway. We're going to touch on that. I mean, it's reported to have been made. It's also been reported to not have been made officially. We're going to set the scene for Charlie a little later. I want to get through a few bits and pieces first. We need to update on Buku Kas, and also I spoke today with Corey Durden. I did a full-length chat with him. If you are a Blue Abroad member, you would have had early access to that this afternoon. But I'm going to play 3 separate clips from that interview on the show tonight and get your thoughts, particularly on one of the clips, which he was just quite honest and candid. And I didn't really expect him to go down that path that he did. But yeah, we'll hear from Corey Duran. And look, I have no doubt that there's going to be some sort of twist and turn over the next hour and a quarter. Also, the full interview for the Corey Duran chat will be live on the channel at 7:30 p.m. So I'll play a few clips here first. Maybe we'll start with Corey. Got a few bits and pieces here. We didn't really get a chance to farewell him properly. And so I just wanted to speak to him and get his take. So this first part here is just him explaining really the other side that we don't see. How did it go down? When did the trade happen? What were the machinations of it? And this is what he had to say.
Yeah, I have said a few times now where it's a little bit bittersweet because you know that there's so many great people at the Carlton Footy Club. So you're one of them, and yeah, I'm just really grateful for you as well.
Yeah, man. I am mindful of you repeating yourself, but I'm going to get you to repeat one more time. Can you run us through, like, behind the scenes? What do the fans not know about what happens behind closed doors when it comes to your deal happening? Like, what was the process?
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know, because it was all happened really quickly. It was probably when I got home back to Adelaide, I kind of was just reflecting and just, I guess, thinking about where I'm at and where I'm going and what looks best for my future, I guess. And, you know, there's decisions that I had to sort of make around getting married and being back home with my family and trying to, I guess, set up where I think I'm going to be best long term. So, you know, it's hard as a player. You're constantly making decisions and having thoughts around that. And I guess ultimately I came to the decision that it's probably best for me to move home, be back with my family. So I asked my manager to see if there's any interest, and Port came with an opportunity to meet. So I met with them, not really expecting anything. They were pretty open about the fact that it was probably not going to happen. So they said they were interested, but yeah, they just didn't think that they had the capital to, I guess, make it happen. So I was preparing to be a Carlton player next year. I was ready to, you know, attack the season with the boys. And yeah, I guess it all changed last week when my manager said it has a heartbeat when Ben Ainsworth showed some interest in Carlton. So ultimately, the next day I was finishing a gym session. Manager called me and said it's happening. So yeah, now at Port, and it's exciting for me. It's an opportunity for me to, I guess, go after my career and get back home. And yeah, it's a bit sad because, like I said before, I'm missing so many good people, and I guess where the club's going, like it's tough to make that decision. It's never easy. But I just had to do what's best for me. So the relationships between Nick Austin, Vossi, and all the boys are really good. I really enjoyed my time at Carlton. Very grateful for it. And yeah, it's going to be sad to let go, but yeah, I'm excited by the future and what that holds for me.
Really grateful for his time. He was just really authentic. You know, I just think interviews like that, no club polo, you know, not really sanctioned. I'm not really looking for a story out of him. Really, the purpose of the chat was, I mean, an opportunity to just talk about things with the, you know, just being a little disarmed, being honest. He was really honest. You'll see in the full chat at 7:30, he touches on some things which might raise a few eyebrows. This is one I want to play you here. I was asking him to reflect on, you know, lessons, things that have happened at Carlton that have taught him a lesson about himself as the footballer, but also as the person. And, you know, what he revealed in what you're about to watch here, I didn't expect him to go down this path, but he did. And I think it'll open up another chat for us about the human experience of the athlete, not just the games, you know, but the journey more so. You know, what moment or lesson along the way do you think has shaped you thus far in your career?
There's a fair few, to be honest, mate. Like the times through injuries for myself, like shoulder reconstructions, a knee injury, I didn't really get as much out of my time at the club as what I would have liked, because those things probably became barriers to, set myself up for a good year. I just kept showing up though, and I guess just trying to give whatever I could to the club. And there were some great moments as well. Like, I think I went on radio or in the interview the other day talking about, Vossi's first game, and it was my third game. We hadn't beaten Richmond in opening round for however long, and Doc coming back from his cancer bout, it's he kicks that goal, and those sort of moments are special. Even in Doc's last game, like little things like probably goes unnoticed, but Doc's last goal, like I had the assist for that, and it's like little things like that people might not see on the outside. As a player, you really cherish, and you get to share those moments. It's always the moments, I guess, where other people are involved, your teammates, that are the ones that stand out. The challenging times for me as a person, I guess, was there was a time there, like the last round against Collingwood, 22, the heartbreak, like that hurt a lot, knowing that I had a clear mistake in that game late, and it probably, I don't know. You sit there and blame yourself as a player, but there's so many things that happened in that game that could have been different. So I don't think people realise that as a player, like those things hurt a lot. And I remember after that game just not wanting to leave the house. Like I felt so just terrible. And then I guess you have to overcome that. And, you come back and train pre-season. There's not really any time to, I guess, dwell on those sort of things. You got to look forward and get moving forward. But as a person, that really, that experience shaped me a lot. It taught me a lot of resilience, and taught me that I had to really block out a lot of noise, I guess. So that was another moment. But yeah, I think that every player sort of goes through those things, and I guess the time was more positive at Carlton than the bad things. So I won't worry too much about it. But I guess, it was just a really positive time at the club. So many good friendships and nights with the boys where we get the win and share a beer together. It was, those are the sort of things that you look back on and really cherish.
Just something about the way he detailed that. I mean, I wasn't trying to prod him to bring up that moment in 2022, but you can see how it still sticks with him. And, we obviously cover every game. We talk about it with you guys in the chat. Like we really dissect every single moment. And, I do remember, that being referenced a lot of the time. I still remember Charlie played on early in the fourth, maybe. Was it the fourth? I think he took a mark and just played on and rushed the kick. So there's just moments like that. And I think it was really interesting to hear Corey speak so candidly about it. And then, that's the first experience of overlap between, footballer and human being, and your identity being tied to what you do on the football field. And there's definitely, I think there's more to explore with that topic. And I mean, I can only hope that we can chat to more athletes and more players. I think there's a opportunity right there to dig a little deeper beneath the surface around identity. And I think that'll help me. I think that'll help fans just maybe better process what happens when we support, the team and when things don't go our way. So, and then finally, the last thing from Dirds, I will leave you here just to thank you to the fans. Finish off with this one. I really appreciate you, firstly, just allowing us to, farewell you properly. I've been a massive supporter of you, like as a human being, just to see you grow. Said to you the other day, something happened this year, just the way you spoke, the things you were picking up on in conversation. I really saw a different level of your maturity. But do you have any message to the supporters who have been with you since day one?
Yeah, I just want to take the moment to thank them. Like, they've been awesome for me. And even through this whole process, I guess the support that the Carlton fans have still shown me, even though I won't be there next year, it's been really humbling. And I think that you guys are the strength of the club. You guys are so passionate, and don't underestimate the influence you can have on the group, because when you guys are backing us fully in, we play a lot better. There's no doubt about that. So, I think that, going forward, you guys just keep being passionate, keep making those players feel welcomed and thanked. Yeah, I think just keep backing them in, because the club they'll be all right. I know it wasn't the year that fans wanted. We were expecting a lot better. But yeah, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, mate, on behalf of the Carlton people in this community, just want to, say thank you. Hope you feel the love. I know it can be challenging at times, but I hope you know that for the most part, you were loved and supported. And we just want to wish you all the best, good health, no more injuries, and, always welcome here on the Blue Broad YouTube channel.
Thanks, Terry. Really appreciate it.
So that was Corey Durden. I really appreciate him taking the time to just give us a farewell. Both he and Alex Chincotta. I hope that is a step forward in just disarming that, that imaginary wall that can exist between, fans and club. And I get it. You want to protect for the most part. But I think there's just such an opportunity to, let the hair down, so to speak. And like you said here, Hunter, just humanize these human beings. And they get, as we said the other day, they get paid an extraordinary amount to do what they do in their discipline, which is AFL footy. But ultimately, they still experience the exact same human experience that we all do. So that's the balance that we're in search for. So that was Corey Durden. Then the next thing on the agenda I wanted to touch on, Buku Kas. So I'll play some little highlights here while we talk about Buku Kas. Can you hear me here? No. Where are we? Don't think that's working the way I wanted it to. But Buku Kas, we seem to be at a standstill. Unless there's anything going on live right now, which we will touch on. It just seems to be either done and they're going to wait till tomorrow, where there's apparently 20 plus. Oh, you could hear me? All right, maybe I can just talk over that. There was apparently a deal done. And so the speculation is this done and we're just going to wait till tomorrow and they're just going to feed all the trades tomorrow in a bumper, final day of trade period? Then there are still reports that there's been a standstill. After I play these highlights here, I will show you that. And I'm just not sure, because we've followed the paper trail of this story. There was the pick 41, which was reportedly on the table. Then that pick 41 got used for the Chesser deal. Then we heard from the Western Bulldogs head of talent acquisition, who said that, seemed to put a bit of a fence up and sort of defend their position on Buku Kas and how they really rate him. Just curious language, because he didn't play the remaining 6 games of the season. He played forward and a little bit of wing in his time in the VFL, averaged 3 goals a game. So he sort of started behind the ball, then he moved up the field, then he played ahead of the ball. And, the highlights I've put here are from some of his better games and highlight some of his attributes. You can see he plays behind the ball. You can see he plays ahead of the ball. And I want to get your thoughts on this one. Like, where do you sit on the Buku Kas situation? It's hard to get a read, because it seems pretty straightforward. He's out of contract end of next year. The Dogs, he was out of favor this year, but all of a sudden the Dogs are posturing as if, he's a required player moving forward. So I'm not sure where this one plays out, but it could be a last minute deal tomorrow. So we will have to just stay tuned. And that's the reality of the situation there. So Buku is yet to be a Blue. We're hoping for it. But we will see. Andy, he's a defender in your eyes. Give him up, Bulldogs, you jerks. Yeah. Where are we? The Bulldogs have a reputation for being hardline in trades. We gave up Kennedy last year to the Dogs for pick 41 from memory. So we'll see. We'll see where this one plays out. All right. Shall we talk about Charlie? Get an update on Charlie Curnow? we had an offer, apparently, today. We had an offer from the Swans, which was really the offer that we were all speculating on yesterday. So this is the actual report.
Give remains to be seen. And now a similar situation is occurring up at Sydney, where Charlie Curnow is keen to get to the club and play for the Swans in the Harbour City next year. That's him last night going into the Sydney Swans headquarters. There's also been an offer that's being made this afternoon, which is pick 11, a 2026 first rounder, Ollie Florent, Will Hayward, and in return, the Swans want Curnow and pick 22. So that offer's been lodged with Curnow's management, who is actually coincidentally the same management as Florent and Hayward, which in some ways makes things easier, in some ways makes things a little bit hard. And later this afternoon, that will be sent to Carlton as well. And Carlton will assess that and determine whether that's enough to let their two-time Coleman medalist go, or whether they want to hold on to him for next year. I still get the...
So let me just play this out. Let me just get this right. the Charlie Curnow story. So, well, firstly, we should take one step back, because there was also a report today that Geelong had refused to include a couple of players that Carlton had reportedly raised. So Max Holmes, Ollie Dempsey, and Connor O'Sullivan were apparently trying, well, the Blues were trying to make them a part of any offer. That was essentially knocked back. The Cats, they tabled the first round picks. Brian Myers was also a name that was floated, but essentially the Cats at this point are only offering the picks. Sydney have now seemed to have pushed Will Hayward and Ollie Florent into considering their futures at the Swans in order to get this deal done. I've got this report here from Inside Trading. Hayward and Florent were both reluctant to move clubs, but have both come around to being part of the switch to Carlton and are parts of the deal Sydney will propose to Carlton for Curnow, alongside pick 11 this year and next year's first round selection. The Swans would be keen to land Curnow and Carlton's pick 22 in return. The offer is yet to be tabled, with no discussions between the clubs yet on Tuesday. So if the Swans' future first-round pick and the Blues' number 22 selection were almost to cancel each other out, with the club likely to be a flag favourite if Curnow heads there, the essence of the deal can be nutted down to Curnow for pick 11, Florent and Hayward. So this is where I'm a bit confused. Has an offer been made and tabled or not? At this point, it's almost like the media are making the offer, and then we're basically putting puzzle pieces together and suggesting that, oh, well, the media are putting these offers out there to the public on behalf of Charlie's manager. Charlie, with his manager yesterday, then decided to put together this, I don't know what you call that yesterday. Like, was that not some of the most bizarre footage you've seen? They put together this moment in time where the journos happened to know the time and place to the second when Charlie was going to walk out of the car to arrive at the Sydney Swans facility. It was, I don't know. It was all just a little strange to me. And it was all just a bit of chess. That's what it seemed like from my end. But how did you absorb what you saw over the last 24 hours? The pick 22 is a first round pick, no deal. Okay. No deal. Hyde. So Blues demand Max Holmes, but accept Hayward and Florent. Ollie and Will are better than the majority of the current list. I think, I know that we can get caught up in who wins the deal. I know that we can do that at times, but the reality is also both of those players are in Carlton's best 22 right now. Like, that's just a fact. They both would have played every game this year had they been on the Carlton list. So there is that too. Andy, you think the deal is done? You know what? Let me put this. If anybody wants to call in, link to join, feel free. Click the link here. Christina, you think it was a shit offer. Rocco, you think the deal won't get done till the 11th hour of trade week. Do we think the deal's done and this is all just part of the story? And yeah, essentially, do you think it's all scripted and it's part of the theatrics? It's all set up perfectly. There's just enough time for Geelong to put in one more offer and then seemingly for Sydney to put in another offer after that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit of a conspiracy theorist. It's theatre. Joanne, it's a no deal from you. Quite simple. Bev Tone, you think Robbie D'Orazio is just playing some games? Okay. Tatum, you also think it's scripted. Hello, Paul. You are calling in very early from the UK. It's all stage managed. Well, the beauty is we're going to get an answer this time tomorrow, you would think, on what's happening. Wowdy, the players that come from Sydney come from great cultures and work ethos. Point in case Newman and Hewitt. It's a good point. All right, let's hear from a few more of you. Some of you have called in. Evan, I see you. Hello, Evan. I don't have an Evan. Hello.
Oh, mate. Sorry, mate.
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Mate, I'm well. I'm just waiting for a deal.
Yeah, I know. It's just been fucking dragging on. I really wish they would just at least a week, maybe even 3-4 days. It really doesn't have to be like this.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It does not need to be this long at all.
No, it's just them selling ad space on trade radio.
Yeah. What did you make of the reported offer today?
Well, I mean, reported, yeah. I don't like that pick. What was it, pick 22 coming back?
Yeah.
But if that's their first offer, you're imagining that they will hopefully offer a later pick. I'm happy with the players, to be honest. Both quality players coming from that blood system. You know, you imagine, like, look at our two other great players that came from that club in Newey and I'm having a blank here. Hewitt, sorry. Look what they've done, you know, to how important they are to our system. So if we're getting a bit more than that, love that. But yeah, I think it's just the picks and we'll see what happens from there.
What if the 22 wasn't involved? What if it was a later pick?
If it was a later pick, you'd have to be happy with that. I mean, I think we're thinking from our perspective that they have to pay overs if they want to get him, right?
Yeah.
That 22 kind of just lessens it because they've told Florent to search options. In my eyes, anyway, it seems a bit, it seems like a bit much to give up that pick. What do you think?
Well, so I'm a little unsure as to whether or not I'm being subconsciously forced to accept this deal by the way it's being reported, because there's more and more pushes for this great deal and the Swans. Like, I mean, you get when you listen to trade radio, I don't know what you're doing every day, but I've got trade radio on all day, every day. And it really is, you know, every show seems to repeat the same thing. So am I being planted? Are there seeds being planted in my head that this is a good deal? This is a good deal. Oh, the Swans couldn't really offer too much more than that. Like, I'm not sure if I'm being played.
Yeah. I mean, like, something that concerns me a little is, like, obviously it's hard to make players want to leave a club. And if Hayward and Florent are getting forced out the door, it feels a bit like, I mean, I know there's interest in Hayward last year, and apparently we were pretty close to actually signing him. But still, at the end of the day, if it's more them being disgruntled and leaving the club on bad terms, it doesn't feel right. I mean, I want those players, don't get me wrong, but there's, you know, something about it doesn't sit right, if that makes sense.
What's the final offer that you would say fair enough to?
What is it with, what are some of those other later picks? 54, was it? I mean, I just think 22 is a bit, it's just a bit
What
much.
if we
Maybe
swapped, what if we swapped Florent for Braden Campbell?
Oh, yeah. I don't think they're going to give him up, though, are they?
Well,
If that was
Didn't
the
realise
deal,
it was.
you would take that and run, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it seems to just
Yeah.
be Sydney's day all the time.
Look, they always got to get their big forward in, don't they? So look, we'll see what happens. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, and not just that, the Merit deal. I think there's a bunch still up in the air, so it's going to be a bumper day.
Yeah. Mate, buckle up. We will be here for the ride.
Yeah. And I tell you what, just one other thing. I hope we're getting Sydney at the G next year.
That'll be fun.
Ooh, yeah.
It'll be really fun. All right, mate. I'll speak to you soon. See ya. Wowdy.
G'day, Terry. How are you?
Deal or no deal?
Definitely no deal. Come back with something that is more palatable. I mean, we really got to parlay this deal and maximise our return. Let's be honest. Forwards that kick 50 to 60 goals a year don't grow on trees. So they're in premiership contention with Charlie. We're be lucky to probably play finals next year if that. So longer term, I think we're going to be better off. But in the immediate short term, it doesn't make us better. So 22 is definitely off the table. It's either a late pick or it's the deal as it's presented. Pick 10, future first, Haywood, Florent for Curnow. Simple as that. Or it's a salary cap sort of situation. We're paying part of Charlie's salary, or they're paying part of Florence or Haywood's salary, something like that. But if it's a pick in return, it's probably 54 or 67 at the worst. And to your earlier question around Campbell or Florent, I'd go Campbell if he was available.
Haywood, Campbell, first round, future first. What if the pick 22 was included in that for a swap?
Oh, as in back to Sydney? No. Nope.
No. Fair.
I mean, look, here's my reference to this, right? So Hawthorn have come out to Essendon and said, for merit, we'll give you pick 9, which is our original pick, future first, a second either this year or next year, plus Huswaite. Now, Merritt's is their captain, and that's their opening offer. So they're not asking for anything in return. That's the opening bid, allegedly, if you believe what the media say. Now, surely Charlie's worth something along those lines in a very purist way, because Merritt's situation's similar. He's got 2 or 3 years left on a deal, highest paid player, their captain. So it's a pretty decent reference point. I think if I'm Graham Wright or whoever's at the deal at the negotiation table, Nick Austin, you're playing poker. You're just saying there's no deal on that, and we're happy to keep Charlie, and he'll come back to pre-season training. I know we've seen the photos and the images of him going into but guess what? We'll welcome him back with open arms. Play hardball. The deal will get done, of course it will, but you got to play hardball. This is a poker game.
What was your reaction to the footage yesterday? Like the whole theater of it.
Restrained fury. Restrained fury. I mean, how else do you react to that? I mean, this is a guy I think someone might have mentioned, I think Paolo yesterday might have mentioned it, or Joe. We created that brand, his brand, him. What Charlie Curnow is because of us, the football club, the fans. And then he's walking into enemy territory and being wooed and, saying, dropping lines like, seeing how it goes and, hopefully it happens and, all this sort of stuff. And then months ago we're saying I'm playing with Carlton in 2026, so I'm not going anywhere. So it's just, that's the bit that really tugs at the heart, and you sort of think, well, you're no longer part of us if you're going to be like that. if you're going to be petulant, and it's not a good look. But again, at the negotiation table, we're poker players.
Joe used the phrase "shit eater's grin," which I thought
Yes.
just hit perfectly.
Oh yeah. No, look, it wasn't a great look. I mean, he's one of ours. Well, he was at least, and now it's not the case. And look, we had some big losses this year. We've had, as in personnel, we've lost TDK, we've lost Jack, and now Charlie. And that's a big loss to us. And yeah, we've got compensation picks and all those sorts of things, but those players don't grow on trees. This is sort of that group that came along in 2015 and 16, 17 and onwards, that we sort of thought were going to see us through, and now that's not going to happen. So we'll move on. But you can't just take those players and think, well, we'll get them for the price that their sellers want. So, the buyers want, I should say. So, pay up. Simple as that.
Do you think there's something behind the scenes still brewing, or do you think Charlie and Buku is really just the crux of it? Seeing as it's still there's only 24 hours to go, so there's not much time.
Yeah, no, there isn't. Look, possibly. You never discount anything else that we got brewing. I wouldn't. If this deal happens early tomorrow, and I'm not sure what the rules are around when they're going to be publishing some of these deals, I think it's after anything that happens after 2:00 won't be shared until I think 6:00 or something along those lines. But I hope there's something else that we're not privy to that just sort of comes out of left field and we get surprised with some great deal that we do, whether it's Bailey Humphrey or someone of that ilk. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I'm about to play a little clip of Bailey Humphrey and his manager. See if we can unpack that. But, mate, stick around. We'll have updates as they come, and tomorrow it ends. Something tells me we're going to miss this. We're going to miss this. Like, I know it's a bit weird. It's a bit of a back and forth, but it's given us something to be entertained by.
Yeah, for sure. It is. And this year's a little bit different because of the players that we've lost and that are, through free agency or through trades, and the list turnover and those sorts of things. So, we will miss it, but it'll be a bit of the calm now, sort of before the draft and all that. So that's good. I'm liking some of the profiles on the new recruits: Ben Ainsworth, Liam Reedy, and who's the other one that we got? Campbell Chester. So that's good. That's sort of giving us a little bit of a bit of a sort of a preview of some of these players that are coming in. So, I'm really impressed with Graham Wright and Chris Davies. I just think, what a huge difference they're making. Just how we're being presented with Football Matters, the way they speak. These guys mean business, and it's about bloody time this club took football seriously once again. Not to say they weren't, but previously it just didn't feel that way. Now it feels like there's real purpose. It's weird saying that. You sort of think that's a given. Yeah.
I feel you, because it's almost like we need to, again, hate to say the word, but you kind of got to accept it's like a cultural reset yet again.
Yes. Yep. And hopefully this is a bit of a turning point for us, and a turning point that we're not going to look back on this and say, okay, it wasn't great losing these players, but look what it's yielded. Look at these young guys coming through, and hopefully it tells a little bit of a redemptive story of how we've sort of gone through the pains of particularly the last 10 years with this group, but then even recognising what's preceded that, to seeing hopefully some success and some joy to our faces as fans, as members, as a community. So yeah, hopefully this is the what do they call it? The birth of the labour pains or something along those lines. Going through these labour pains might sort of, be something that we had to go through before we saw the success. So hopefully it's something along those lines as a metaphor, but we'll wait and see. In Graham Wright and in Chris Davies, we trust.
Yeah. If a deal gets done, just lastly with Charlie, would you want to, as a fan, would you want to hear from him? Maybe he hasn't been able to be totally honest about things and he's been told this is the way you have to go about it. If a deal was to get done, would you, as a fan, like to hear some sort of, I don't know, honesty from the situation from him, or would it have been too late and just get on with it and go do your thing?
Oh, look, always good to know. Will he do it? I don't think he would. I think once he retired, I think he would. If he wrote a book, he would probably share it. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be averse to it. I'd want to hear it because, we'd go along to watch Charlie like we used to do with Fev when we weren't that great in those sort of 2000s, early 2010s. So yeah, of course I'd want to understand why he's leaving. I mean, when a really good person, that plays well for your club, leaves, much like someone that you work with, that, a colleague that's highly talented and decides to leave, you want to know why they're going, and because you followed them. So yeah, of course I would want to know. Will he share it with us now? No, he probably won't, because he's going to a new club and he doesn't want to, doesn't want to burn any bridges or add fuel to the fire. Or he might want to and make it a bit of theatre and make round 2, round 3 next year at the MCG be all that more marketable. Who knows? But yeah, I would say yes to that question for sure.
Yeah.
Will we get it? Probably not. Not yet.
I doubt it.
Yep.
All right. Well, mate, thanks for calling in. We will.
No worries.
We'll be in touch.
Good on you. Thanks, mate.
See ya. I just wanted to play something that came through today. It was Bailey Humphrey's manager. And the reason why I want to play it is because there just seems to be this school of thought, even from me, that there's just something in the background at play. And I don't know, this one piqued my interest, and I wonder if it did the same for you. Take a listen to this.
At the moment, I speak with Bailey on a daily basis. He's an extremely loyal guy. And look, we laugh at some of the stories. Some are wildly inaccurate, and given how loyal he is, some actually do affect him. I understand there's sort of an intense interest in trade period, and that's only growing year on year. Obviously stoked by you boys. However, there's a real personal side to some of these negotiations, and I hope we, as the public, don't forget that moving forward.
I know we touched on it before, but was Gold Coast aware he was meeting with clubs while he was down in Melbourne?
No, they weren't.
Okay. He's contracted to the end of 2028, so 3 more years. He signed that 4-year extension pretty early into his time at the Suns. Do you expect this to be a storyline throughout next year as well, and a consideration for him?
Do you think he's going to try again next year, mate? We've seen this happen in the past where players have denied trades and then play out their careers at those clubs. We've also seen it happen where trades affected the following season. I think in Bailey's case, the fact he's a pillar of his family and he's got strong ties in the community down there, that's not going to change. It's more whether he further adapts over what's probably going to be a successful season at the Suns. That's probably going to dictate that moving forward.
Positionally, where do you see him, and where does he want to be playing as well? And is that a part
on the
of
field
this at all?
Look, I think he's been pretty vocal on this. He wants to play sort of a deep forward midfield rotational role. And I think in conversation with the club, that'll hopefully take effect this season as well.
To be honest, I just needed a reason to use that photo. I did the jersey swap with Luke, graphic designer. Haven't really had a chance to use it. So there we go. I'm going to invite a guest on. He is just setting himself up. His name is Sam McClure. Hello, Sam McClure.
Hello, Terry. Hello, everyone.
Mate, welcome to Trade TV on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel.
Great to be here.
Do you think we have a chance at Bailey Humphrey, or is it dreamland?
It's probably dreamland. I think Gold Coast have been pretty upfront about the fact that he won't be traded. I know clubs say that all the time, but they weren't enamoured with the fact that he met with Stephen King and Nathan Jones around the tan a couple of weeks ago, wherever it was. And Damien Hardwick sat him down since then and said, look, we think that you're the future of this footy club and we want you to learn from, Petrarca and King and Jed Walter and all these guys. He's probably a bit frustrated, like most tenacious 21-year-olds, that he's not playing a lot of midfield time. But no, I don't think we'll see him in navy blue.
Damn it. Speaking of the navy blue, we've had many chats over our I don't know, we don't call them glorious anymore. We want them to be glorious, but what is your high-level summary of where the Blues are at right now and the state of play?
Well, I don't think anyone would have gone into the year thinking that they were going to lose to Koning and Silvani. And it looks like they're getting very close to trading Curnow. So it really depends on where you think the list is at. There's arguments both sides. Like, to Koning, you probably can't. There's an argument to say that it's not really the club's fault when someone offers him 1.7 million. I guess the counter to that would be, if they were, say, a top 4 or top 6 team, would he be less likely to take the money? Probably not. The Silvani one, I think, is a really sad situation, given the family history and given how versatile he is and how competitive he is in probably a list that's crying out for as much competitiveness as possible. And then Curnow, again, there's two sides. One is that do you really want to keep someone that doesn't want to be there? And the other one is, well, what kind of culture has the club created that, Curnow gets his head turned? And I don't know what you think and your listeners think, Terry. I don't really love the deal coming the other way, if I'm honest. Florent spent a fair bit of time in the VFL, and Haywood, is a good player and a good team. The interesting thing today, I just got off deadline with the Age, but it sounds like, while Haywood and Florent and 2 first-round picks has been talked about in the industry quite a lot, it hasn't actually been put to Carlton. So we're going into the final day of the trade period without an official offer from the Swans, which makes things not impossible, but it makes it hard.
So is that the play? Because this is what I was talking about earlier. It's like I'm being planted with this seed of an offer from Sydney, but I don't think it's official.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there hasn't actually been an offer made. And there's talk that, if Sydney give the 2 first-round picks and Florent and Haywood, they want Curnow and 22 back. Now, I think that'd be a disastrous deal for the Blues personally. But, this is all about long-term strategy for Carlton. The interesting thing is, Terry, it's taken Carlton, as you would know, such a long time to be able to build a spine. All those years ago when Stephen Silvani was coming in as list manager, and it's like, okay, well, they need a fullback, go get Wiedering. They need a ruckman, we'll draft a Koning. Well, they need forwards, we'll take 2 basically top 15 key forwards in Curnow and Mackay. And we need gun midfielders. Okay, we've got Cripps and Walsh. They've done a fair bit of work to actually build from the bottom up. Now they're losing a fair bit of that spine. I think it's a hard sell to your members to then say, we're getting better. Having said that, all clubs will quite rightly say that circumstances change and you have to adapt, adapt or die, as Brad Pitt says in Moneyball. So, they haven't found themselves in the best position, probably because they haven't won enough games. And therefore other, key players reaching key points of time in their career are thinking, well, can I have more success elsewhere? Now, it's not quite like Zach Merritt and Essendon, because Carlton have been more competitive than Essendon have been in that period of time, I would argue. But yeah, it's a really interesting point of inflection for the Blues, I reckon, at the moment.
Yeah. I've been putting up Braden Campbell's name instead of Ollie Florent. Would that tempt you?
Yeah, I think Campbell's probably a better player than Florent right now. Florent had a good couple of years. I remember when he was younger, he was quite versatile. He's not a great kick. I don't know that we need another halfback flanker who's not a great kick.
Yeah.
So Campbell, I think, would be better. I just don't think Sydney would let him go. And this is sort of like one of the interesting points about this trade period is that there's quite a few teams turning players' heads. So say, Sydney and Curnow, or the story that I've been working on heavily today, Hawthorn and Merritt. But those clubs don't want to give up part of their own stars. So I think Jake Knowles has written a piece in The Age. It's sort of like the disruption tax. No one wants to pay the disruption tax, despite being the ones, hey, well, yeah, Charlie, why don't you come play for us? Or Zach, why don't you come play for us? Okay, well, we want a good player coming back the other way. Oh, no, we don't want to do that. We'll just give you picks. Like, it's really interesting.
What do you make of the rabbit hole that we're going down with free agency every year? It just seems to get, well, I mean, it almost becomes more about the contractor players and the free agents now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't love what free agency's become because it just seems like the compo is impacted by where the team is at. Pick 2 for Oscar Allen doesn't really seem to make sense. But to the second part of your question and your point, like, what do contracts mean now? Well, I guess, the Clayton Oliver perspective is an interesting one because they would have got a lot more from Geelong last year and would have got a lot more money off the books. Now, after not pulling the trigger, they're paying the price 12 months later because they're going to lose him for a lot less to GWS and have to pay a lot more of his contract. So in that set of circumstances, contracts do mean a lot. But, as clubs continue to tell me when we criticise them for doing long-term deals, they'll say to you, well, someone else would have done that contract if we didn't. If Carlton will say if we didn't give Harry Mackay 7 years, someone else would have. And I accept that. So it just becomes really a game of chicken. Okay, well, if you're not going to give him the contract, we will. What are you willing to live with if things turned pear-shaped? I was speaking to Pete Ryan in the office today about Josh Kelly. Like, everyone seems to have forgotten that Josh Kelly's contracted until 2029 at GWS, and he's now going to miss the next 12 months with that hip injury. Now, Josh Kelly, like a really, really good player at his best, but it just, when you sign an 8-year contract extension, it just makes it particularly difficult when things go pear-shaped.
Yeah.
So I wonder which club is going to be the first club to actually blink and say, no, like, we're going to give you a 4-year deal. We think that's really fair and reasonable. If you want to go somewhere else for a 6-year deal, that's fine. But we think we've got the best chance of winning a premiership. We think we're going to give you the best culture. So, who's going to be the first club to blink and do that?
Got a question here. I don't know if you ever met our great man, Pommy. He's got one final one for you. What's your thoughts on the fact that sides can trade out of the punishment for signing free agents such as Spargo, Myercheck? Shouldn't we have a rule that it's locked in and any trade is punished afterwards?
Okay, so give me the example of that in the Myercheck situation. So,
Pommy, he's saying, maybe I'm reading this wrong. What's your thoughts on the fact that sides... What's your thoughts on the fact sides trade out of the punishment?
Should we have a rule that's locked away and any trade is punished after? Still not absolutely sure I understand the question.
All right, we'll get back to that one. Maybe, Pommy, can you clarify that in the chat? I've got to...
Sorry,
I can't have you on here. That's all right. I can't have you on here without giving a shout out to one of my co-hosts from another show that we do. We do on a Wednesday. It's called The Biased Footy Show. It's basically Ari and I, we're the biased Carlton fans talking about the entire league. And we do it Wednesday night. And he always comes to the show on Wednesday after listening to the tradies. He's one of your biggest fans on the show. So we always have a little bit of fodder to start the show. And he requested that I ask you about your thoughts on the A-League. He's a massive A-League fan. I'm not, but he doesn't like that you have pot shots at the A-League. So he wanted to pass that on.
Thanks, Ari. Appreciate it. Thanks for being a tradies listener. I'm actually going after this to the studio to record our Tuesday ep. The A-League, I was a huge fan of the A-League first few years. And unfortunately, they took it down the wrong path and they took the money from the streaming services. And I would love to watch more A-League, but I can't find it on Paramount. And it seems like we don't have as many superstars as we used to. And the crowds are dwindling. So I'm just upset that the A-League has allowed itself to fall so far. I guess that's my frustration as a soccer lover.
And a nice light one from Ari. How far down did the Titanic sink? I don't get it.
It's because I used Melbourne. I used the analogy of Melbourne earlier in the year on the pod about like they hit the Titanic and they hit the iceberg, but they refused to like acknowledge that they hit the iceberg and then it was going to sink them. That was what the problem with the Titanic was. And I used that analogy at Melbourne. Anyway, I was doing a video for socials a couple of weeks ago, and instead of saying that Melbourne hit the iceberg, I said that they hit the Titanic, which was obviously a mistake. But so I doubled down that week on the pod and said, well, Melbourne actually fell so far down that they found the Titanic wreckage and they also hit that, which I actually did Google, and I think it's something like 15,000 feet or something, or 3,000 to 4,000 meters, something along those lines.
All right. Well, Ari, congratulations, mate. You got your answer there.
Thanks, Ari.
Sammy, appreciate you taking the time out to call in. Hope everything's going well on your end. And yeah, all the best with the tradies and everything that's going on.
No worries, TD. Love the show. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
See you, mate. Ari, there you go. There's your answers, mate. I've got one more guest here. His name is Xander Maguire. Hello, Xander Maguire.
Terry, can you hear me? Am I on audio-wise? Have you got me there?
Mate, loud and clear. How's things?
Great. Mate, very good. We've just finished our 7 News broadcast for the night, or we're finishing in 3 minutes. Weather's on, so I've just ducked out. I'm in a quiet room. That's the control room just in there. So lots of screens pinging off left, right, and centre, and lots of trade news flowing in. So no, we're going well, mate.
I'll tell you what, of all the things that were on my bingo card of what would happen in 2025, a lot were related to Carlton, but one of them was meeting you and enjoying and really getting an appreciation for the work that you do, just because I'd never come across you before. So we met at Icon Park. I think it was a training.
I can't tell if that's a backhander or not, Terry. I think you've had my old man on this show before. So we're a friend of Blue Abroad, which is probably another sentence you probably didn't think you'd ever hear, but here we are.
No, mate, I'm a big fan. Yeah, Dad came on the last time Carlton beat Collingwood. He was on. Maybe that's the trick. We've got to get you guys on before we play. Maybe that's what we've got to be doing.
Yeah, no, we're good jinxes, aren't we?
Yeah. Mate, what?
Sorry, mate, I just lost you there.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, you're back. Sorry.
Yeah,
got you again.
What's your overview of things that are happening from a Carlton lens?
But I think that look, I wasn't in on the first hour of the show, but I think that, and I was talking to Mitch Cleary about this today when we were sitting next to each other at work. I think that Carlton's had, and look, they'll cop it for losing TDK and probably Curnow and Silvani, like 3 big names. But I think Carlton's had one of the better trade periods out of all the clubs in the AFL. I think if you look at what the knock on Carlton was all season, the last 2 years and leading into this trade period, it's that they can't kick inside 50. And that the bottom 5 players that get out on the park every week are probably not to AFL standard, or at least considerably worse than the bottom 5 players that play for the top tiers in the AFL. So, look, yeah, I mean, Curnow's been an out-and-out superstar for the club. Jack Silvani was developing into a really strong defender, but he only played, 6 or 7 of those games for the club really this season, where he was great in defence. He's spent a lot of time injured and he's been forward for so long in his career. And then TDK is only really blossoming into a ruckman, and that's an out-and-out superstar of the competition. And even he was probably only in that realm for the first parts of the season before he copped that larynx injury, and then maybe he dropped off a little bit towards the end. So in terms of contribution to Carlton's side, Curnow's probably the only big loss. And yet, instead of rolling out guys that contribute to the issues that plague Carlton fans every week with those bottom 5 players, you're not only lifting the standard of that with potentially guys like, Will Hayward, who probably wouldn't be a bottom 5 player, but you know what I mean? Guys like Campbell Chesser, who could develop really nicely, Ben Ainsworth as well, but also guys that are really good kicks. So I think it's been targeted recruitment. It hasn't been overly flashy. I know Blues fans would have loved to have seen Zach Butters land in navy blue this trade period. But I think Nick Austin and the team and Graham Wright as well for what involvement he certainly would have had, even though he's the CEO. I reckon it's been a pretty good trade period so far.
Yeah. When did you get an inkling that Curnow was on the way out? Is this just a last final third of the season, or do you think this has been brewing for a lot longer under the surface?
I think under the surface, there's been a view from Charlie and his camp that he would love to have been living down in Torquay. He's set up the business down there over the years, spends as much time down there as he possibly can, and even during season when he can get a bit of time off, a few extra days, he's down there as well. I think there were murmurs of frustration throughout the entire year, but it was probably hard to differentiate whether that was regarding his body and his performance. Like, people forget that Charlie had 3 surgeries in the off-season, had an ankle reco and 2 knee surgeries. So he didn't really get a good run at it. And I think there was frustration on his part for how that played out and how he was sort of hampered for the first half of the season and never really got a good run at it. And I think that then snowballed into how can we actually maybe look to get out of here and change this situation. And I guess maybe probably towards the back third of the season, it became clear that they weren't just frustrations over his body and his form, that this could actually develop into something else.
Yeah. You think it gets done when it's all wrapped up tomorrow?
I think you're probably a better judge of this than me. I mean, look, I think it does. I don't think, purely from an optics standpoint, look, my understanding from the very start of the trade period, which I've said, I think, on podcasts and radio, was that it was a one-horse race for Sydney. And I think that's what his camp was saying behind the scenes, that they were the only team that could get it done. He would have loved to have gone to Geelong, I think, but it was just never going to happen. Does it get done? Again, from an optics standpoint, I don't think Robbie D'Orazio is the kind of guy that would roll Charlie out in front of the cameras with Dean Cox in the driver's seat. That shot will be iconic for many years to come. I don't think that would have happened unless there was a feeling of confidence from probably all parties that something would get done. And I don't know, like, the deal's good. Harry Mackay's playing good footy when he got back on the park towards the end of the year. At times, he's a Coleman medalist in his own right. And maybe it gives some young guys some opportunity. There's definitely a world where, I don't know, I can see that this deal ends up being a positive one for the Blues. What do you think? Will you be happy? I mean, probably not happy, but will you be relatively satisfied if this goes through?
Yeah, look, bottom line, my first option in this scenario is the issue so bad that it can't be worked out between Charlie and club? Is it so broken down that we can't find a resolution, given, he's in the leadership group. And I think when you take a position like that, that's a sign that you're there, almost like a marriage. When things start getting tough, you dig your heels in and you become part of the solution. So that was my first layer. Now it's pretty clear that he's doing whatever he can through his management to get out of the club, and he's got interest. So the fan side of me and the emotional connection, I'm a bit offended by what I saw last night. Like, it just seemed a little bit staged, and the emotional connection there gets me a bit offside. But then there's the other side of it where, I mean, if you don't want to be there, he's the one that's playing football and is in the position. So ultimately, human being. So now I don't want him. Now it's like, get the deal done, get what you can. We're not going to replace him. We just can't possible.
I lost you a little bit towards the end there, but look, of course, there's the emotional side to this stuff as well. I think with Charlie, it's more of a case of, I don't think he hates the Carlton Footy Club. I think he just doesn't, or he doesn't necessarily. I think it's more what it is to be a Carlton player, which doesn't sit with him well anymore, which I think is different to how he feels about the club. Like, I think he has strong relationships at the club. He loves the guys, but I get the feeling that it's I don't need to explain it to an all Carlton fan podcast and listening room. Like, it's pretty intense being part of a Carlton environment. Like, it's a fan base that demands a lot. and rightly so. And it's a fan base that is massive, and it's an all-encompassing thing, especially for a guy that likes to lead a laid-back lifestyle. Now, you might say that's all good and well to not like the all-encompassing elements of it when things are going badly, but then relish the fact that you get to roll out and play in front of 90,000 on the G when things are going well. And maybe that's a fair criticism as well. But I don't think that it comes from a point of Charlie going, I hate this club. I think there are a certain set of requirements that are expected from a Carlton player, and a certain set of things that a Carlton player must do, and I don't think he wants to do those while playing his football at the same time. And I guess that's evidenced by the fact that there were three destinations that he was happy to go to, and they're all vastly different footy clubs, operated in completely different ways, and all parts of the country as well, but all brought together by the fact that they facilitate a lifestyle that is unique and I guess suits him.
Yeah. Mate, apologies about my connection. I'm sorry if it's a little bit choppy for you. I do have one final one for you, because I think part of the reason why we really latched onto you as a community was we saw the footage of you at the AFLW game, Carlton Collingwood, getting there behind young Sophie McKay, and we caught you singing the Carlton theme song at the end, and we just wanted to say thank you for getting behind the Blues. It was good footage.
Mate, AI is incredible these days. I did see that clip taken by Chief Paparazzi Officer Terry Degani that was rolling around the ground that day. No, it was a great day. I was on board the Blues. The McKays are great friends. The Charlie, the son that should have gone father-son, I reckon, but he's one of my great mates. So I grew up with Andrew, and Abby and Soph have been awesome as well. So. Wouldn't miss Soph's debut at all, and glad to see that the girls are going pretty well. I guess maybe a little bit above expectations, and they're well led, and Soph's really kicked on as well in the latter parts of the season as well. So it's encouraging, and I love watching him. So Collingwood and Carlton are two sides of the same coin at the end of the day. So the more that we can get the Victorian powerhouses back up and going, the better footy is for everyone, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, mate, thank you so much for taking out the time, and congratulations on what's been a really great year. We have a bet that you have the way that you do your job, and just wish you all the best.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. No, it's a privilege to be on with the whole community in such a busy time as well. So thanks, mate. See
ya. Xander Maguire. That was great. Sorry about my connection, guys. There's a bit going on. Terrible timing as well. Just as he rolled in. All right. So recapping the day, we have. Well, that was good of Sam to come in as well, because he confirmed that there is no official offer from the Sydney Swans. We are basically just on this roller coaster of suggestions from the AFL media of an offer that allegedly came in from the Swans for Charlie Curnow, which apparently didn't. So we wait. We wait until tomorrow, because this time tomorrow we will have confirmation, right? 7 p.m. tomorrow we will know with certainty. Is Charlie Curnow staying or going? Or more, maybe a better question, where is Charlie Curnow going to go to tomorrow? So stay tuned for that. If there are any more updates, obviously I'll be in touch with all of you. And also a final, literally you've only got a couple more days. This Friday, the draw will be done for those of you who filled out the 2025 Blue Abroad survey. So really just to get your feedback on the year, those of you who tune in throughout the year, everyone who fills out the survey will go in the draw to win a year's membership to the Blue Abroad YouTube channel for free. And you'll also win, well, it's pretty valuable now. This might be the last match worn, signed Guernsey from Corey Durden. So I will spin the wheel for that on Friday evening. We'll do Friday fan cams, wrap up the week, and we will be done with that. I will put the link, if you haven't filled out the survey, in the live chat. So please make sure you do that. There you go. I've missed super chats. Slobbo, Curnow for Warner and a first round pick. Thank you very much. Hey, Slobbo, I saw you and You and Bailey Smith, mate, going at it on Instagram. A few pot shots going back and forth. If I was Carlton, I would make Sydney sweat right to the end and make them break. They want him, make them give overs. He's a contracted player. Craig, $15 super chat here. Terry, the deal is essentially pick 10 and Haywood as pick 22 equal out the future first. And while Florent is a tidy player with his rumoured contract, should be considered a salary dump with no trade value. Appreciate that, Craig. That's all I've got for you guys. Stay tuned. 7:30 p.m. The full chat with Corey Durden will be premiering on the channel. And other than that,